Hello, and thanks to allow me to pose a question. What about, I think maybe we speak about the infrastructure, but what about the energy? Because without electricity, it's really hard to work. First, and the second one, what about the data mining in Africa?
Shall I take that?
It's up to you.
Okay, great. So I thought you might ask that. And that's why we have this company called Distributed Power Africa. There can be no conversation about digital transformation in Africa without talking about power. Power is really the gating item. All the mobile networks that you see across Africa today, there are 60 million diesel generators on the African continent today. 60. I mean, it's the population of Kenya or the population of South Africa, accounted for by the number of diesel generators. And even that's what's driving the cost of access. So ensuring that there is equitable access to power, ensuring that there is reliable access, and ensuring that there is cost-effective access to power. We went into the power story by necessity because we came from building mobile networks. And when we started to build networks, we quickly realized that without solving the power problem, we really cannot drive down our operating costs. So today we have the largest installation of Tesla Powerwalls within a network, almost 600 Tesla Powerwalls that are powering towers. But really, the idea is, with the abundant sunshine that Africa has and the advances in technology on solar PV, it's really possible to bring down the cost of power to less than 8 cents a kilowatt hour, and even less if you're talking about a 100 megawatt power installation. So, I'm glad you asked the question. There can be no digital transformation if we don't solve the power challenge on the African continent. And therefore, you can't even talk about data mining if you don't deal with access to power and cost of access to data, and the two are related. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hadi. Any question?
Yes, hello. You talked about the cost of access in the middle and last mile, mainly through fiber, I believe. But then the last mile surely would be wireless. And how do you work with the wireless industry to try and manage the cost, the synergy, the continuity? Because, of course, with fiber, the cost could be exorbitant in some parts, so you will need wireless. But then you're stuck there, you have brought down your cost to that point, but then it is not in your hands what the wireless charges. So you have a challenge there to try and bring it together. So how are you addressing that last mile where you cannot have fiber, for example?
So, I mean, back to the unit economics, as I said. So you've got undersea fiber that brings the data to the coast. Then you've got terrestrial fiber that brings it to a town or a city. In most cases, given the extensive network that we have, we're less than 10 kilometers away from most major settlements, particularly on the eastern seaboard. And there is now technology called wireless optical communication. So, free space wireless optical communication, which basically allows you to do fiber-like speeds for up to 10 kilometers. So that's what is allowing us to drive down the middle mile, from the dollar that I spoke about to less than 10 cents. The last mile, fortunately, point to multi-point Wi-Fi solutions have really come down in costs. Because essentially you are now able to broadcast, once you bring the broadband to the edge of the community, you can then broadcast it into the community. And we're working with youth entrepreneurs to actually get them. I don't know if you remember the days when there used to be a phone kiosk, where people would have a mobile phone and everybody would go to them and you would. We're basically now doing that with the Youth for Data, where a young person essentially either owns a hair salon or a barber shop or a spaza shop, and they essentially have the point-to-multi-point wireless access device, and they're broadcasting the Wi-Fi, within, say, a 2-kilometer radius from where they stay, and they now start to, their neighbors pay for internet access. So we have solved the access challenge, but we have also created an entrepreneur that can now be able to do other things.
Hello, good morning. I'm about to ask a question about technology and small-scale business. Is there any solid business justification for a small-scale business which net worth is below $3,000 to solve their problem and to create opportunity? Is there any?
I think this one is for all of us. Yeah. I think if I heard you correctly, you're essentially saying, is it worth it for an SMME? I think that's what they call them, a micro business to invest in technology. I would almost say that it's impossible for the micro business to grow if it doesn't take on technology. Yeah. Because technology drives down your cost of doing business and allows you to become, so if we take the Andela platform, literally you've got a young person, all they have are their skills, and they're sitting in Rumbek in South Sudan. They are now able to bid for a contract with one of the largest US companies and get paid $1,000 over a 21-day period on a project. Okay? So if they were to go and look for work in Rumbek, they would be lucky if they can get construction work where they are paid $3, $4 a day. Okay, all of a sudden they've leapfrogged to getting $1,000, and that's all because they've invested in skills, and they now have, a connectivity solution that allows them to become a global economic entity while sitting in Rumbek. So I really would say, if you're running a micro business, the way to scale is choose technology as a scaling tool. But of course, there's the financing issue and other issues as well.
Thanks, Hari. I think I'll fully agree with what you just heard. You just need to keep in mind that technology is the ultimate killer of discrimination for anything you do. Yeah. Because it allows you an access you would have never dreamed to have. Technologies used to be defined as magic.
Yeah.
If you were able to sit here and speak to someone that's in another town, they'll say you're doing juju. But that's what technology does. So if you can accept that the essence of that industry, that sector, whatever you want to call it, as you've heard from the parties that do it for a living, we're just a bank, that it's basically every sector is now linked to technology. We have, for a long time, society has looked at technology as a department that works for you, not realizing we all dependent on technology. It's been a misunderstood relationship as who the boss was. But our boss, all of us today, is technology. Because without technology, you cannot be. You cannot go from SSME to bigger. So fundamentally, growth no longer happens without it. Without technology, the best that can happen to you is survival and stagnation. That's the best. You cannot grow without technology. The worst is that you will disappear. You will decelerate and disappear. So $3,000, $5, $10. Bear in mind that every startup started at a valuation that was $1 for a conversation. There was nothing. Up to today, most of the startup gets funded in what we call safe, which basically means we cannot agree on a price. I'll give you some money, you start, and when we can kind of price it, we'll agree what you're going to pay me. So today, the short answer is you cannot evolve without it.
I just want to add an example for that. Okay, so if you're a very small, like even individual doing a handcraft, you now, and I have this cases happening in Egypt with a small online store. So there is a platform where you can go and put your product, even a Facebook page. You can put your product, and suddenly you reaches the world. So again, you're small, you can just do something. A lot of this handcrafts is happening in a lot of cities and towns in Africa. So again, and you only wait for someone to pick it up or see it. But if you put it online, and it would not cost you anything, just put this product online to the world to see it. So again, suddenly you have the world as a customer, and they would appreciate that, getting from this town. So again, with a very small thing in technology, you can really reach a mass population.